In these sections, I'm going to provide an overview of Adventures in Japanese 4th edition. This course will have the following learning outcomes. First, we will revisit the pedagogy of Adventures in Japanese, that is presentation, practice, production, evaluation, and extension. We will locate the resources for all these different instructional stages: presentation, practice, production, evaluation, and extension, especially in Fluency Link. And I also make recommendations for different learning needs. As you may know, Adventures in Japanese, or AIJ, has 3 volumes for 3 years of high school Japanese courses. We also have a 4th-year AP preparation textbook by the same author called Dikuru. We will cover Dikuru later in this presentation. The main goal for all the lessons and activities in AIJ is for students to be able to communicate comfortably in all modes: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational. AIJ components include hardcover textbook, paperback workbook, teacher's guide file download, a supplemental website, and also Fluency linked digital textbook and workbook. Fluency Link is the newest digital platform from Qing and Sui. The digital textbook and workbook in Fluency Link offer mobile tablet support, user login for teachers, students, and district and school administrators. We have one roster compliance, single sign-on support, as well as integration to ClassLink, Google Classroom, and Canvas. In the later sections, we will go over the functionality and navigation of Fluency Link. AIJ is designed to meet the actual world readiness standards for language learning. Its rich content, the careful selection of vocabulary, the interactive and communicative activities, the introductions to Japanese culture are all targeted to the 5 C's: communication, cultures, connections, comparisons, and communities. The language skills, reading, writing, listening, and speaking, acquired in the Japanese language classroom aligned with the Common Core standards. AIJ encouraged students to develop their 21st century skills through online research and multimedia presentations. Japan Foundations for Japanese Language Education lists a set of can-do statements decided for 6 levels of language learning. The can-do statements and can-do checklists in every lesson in AIJ provide clear goals and expectations. The content and tasks in the textbooks are modeled after the Japan Foundation and actual can-dos. Culture Nooks and cultural projects in AIJ encourage students to further dive into topics related to Japanese culture and products, to make cultural comparisons, and to develop global perspectives. Activities in the lessons ask students to compare and contrast certain aspects of Japanese culture with those of their own. But it doesn't stop there. Students are expected to communicate with each other to deepen their understanding of cultural differences and similarities. Not only has AIJ selected topics that appeal to high school students, like those I listed here, but the textbook also includes situations with which the students are likely to encounter in their daily life. Adventures in Japanese offers 5 instructional stages for language learning. They are content presentation, opportunity for students to practice new knowledge, activity for students to produce what they have learned, various opportunity to assess students and evaluate those new skills, fun projects to extend and validate their learning, culture notes and language notes inserted throughout the lessons connect new language to the culture and further support their learning. Now let's start our quick review of AIJ. First, can-do statement is listed clearly in the lesson opener. The can-do checklist at the end of the lessons offer a self-evaluation for learners. AIJ Level 1 introduced hiragana, katakana in lesson 1 and 2. Kanji is formally introduced in lesson 3. Kanji characters are selected based on the required kanji in the AP exam. We organize them so students learn about 6 to 10 kanji per lesson. It will be a total of 60 kanji in level 1 and 102 in level 2. To help students visualize kanji, there are a series of presentation materials in the textbook from the lessons and in their appendix. A slideshow lists all the level kanji in one single file. This slideshow offers stroke orders and different font styles. There is also a kanji flashcard in PDF format. In the Teacher's Guide lesson folder, we introduce many images as they appeared in the textbook to supplement the usage of more graphical materials for visual learners. As students proceed to kanji practice, the workbook provides space for practicing writing and exercise for reinforcing comprehensions of different kanji readings. To offer an options for formative assessment, a kanji quiz in each lesson is prepared for you as well. As we enter the main text, dialogue or narrative in the beginning of each lesson provide a context of the new linguistic materials. The first dialogues of every lesson is done in manga style. It provides a visual context for other dialogues in the same lessons. As students enter the dialogues using Fluency Link, the presentation is supported by audio, which can be played back in a few different speeds.
3課2
Lesson 3, Part 2.
会話
Dialogue. How many people are in Ken's family? How old is his sister?
ご家族は何人ですか?
Vocabulary have been carefully selected based on high usage among high school students and their appropriateness to the context of each lesson. Audio support for vocabulary is again conveniently hotspotted in Fluency Link.
Lesson 3, Part 2.
単語
Vocabulary.
Presentation resources for vocabulary including a vocab list, customizable slideshows per lessons, as well as the vocab image files. The signature AIJ illustrations that accompany each vocab and expressions heighten student interest and broaden the opportunity for teachers to point out cultural nuance the image offer. The intention is for visual learners to use the illustrations rather than the English translations as the primary method of learning vocabulary. Vocab practice is important, and it is primarily included in the workbook exercise. A vocab quiz is in the lessons assessment folder to offer evaluations for vocabulary. The language and context activity in the textbooks present a focus on helping students understand a particular functions of vocabulary usage or review familiar grammar with new vocab. The presentation of AIJ's grammar sections remain as strong features in the AIJ series. Sentence patterns in the series are introduced from simple to more complex. Detailed grammatical explanations provide abundant examples for instructions and self-study. Grammar audio support is just one click away in Fluency Link. The grammar activity after each presentation are added to allow practice following language input. Teachers are suggested to perform informal formative assessment as you practice grammar with your students. Culture appears in multiple instances throughout the lessons. It is deeply entwined with language and connects to every dimension of Japanese life. AIJ focus on the whys of cultures and ask students to compare, contrast them to their own culture. The activity checks for understanding and open door to other disciplines. 21st century learning, including technology literacy, research skills, and data analysis are also covered in cultural notes activity. The content for authentic materials is selected intentionally to add interesting elements to the learners. They allow students to learn outside the classroom. Example of authentic materials cover a variety of media, including reading, listening, and viewing. Like this example here, songs and wish tablets are listed in level 1 and level 2. Other examples including news articles, maps, weather reports, blogs are all good examples of authentic resources. Following the presentation of key content, the communicative activities are designed for interpersonal and interpretive oral communication. They engage students in real communication with their peers and teachers using the new sentence structures in the lesson. Most activities are designed for pair work. There are also larger group and individual activities. An activity worksheets in the Fluency Link Resources tab is available to support each communicative activity. To access those activity worksheets, you have to log into Fluency Link. In the resource folder, there is documents. And each lesson's activity worksheets is listed by the lesson number. You can click on it to download a PDF version of the activity worksheets. Workbook exercise with audio support offer 4 skill practice to allow students to apply what they have learned. The listening assignment in the workbook can be used as an option for summative assessment. For students who need extra support, the listening script is available and included in the teacher's guide. At the end of each lesson, review questions grouped by specific topics offer a reference to the lessons content, giving students the information they need to go back to and study if needed. Most of the questions are based on vocab, expressions, and sentence structures that appear in the lessons. The special text chat sections was created for students to practice interacting in simulated exchange modeled in the AP exam. Summative assessment, including a lesson test in the teacher's guide. Audio files for listening and answer keys for the test are also included in the folder. Text chat, review questions, exam cards are also recommended as options for the summative assessment. Object cornered activities offer an extension of learning. They are designed for hands-on experience of the Japanese culture. These fun cultural products reveal much about the perspective of the Japanese. Classes can use this opportunity to discuss the products and their relationship to Japanese culture. These sections promote the practice of modern skills, including media literacy, technology literacy, and information literacy that could be a good options to assign to students who need extra challenges. Now let's move to the fourth year textbook, Dikaru. Dikaru is recommended for fourth years for our AP Japanese. About 410 kanji it's included in Dikaru. Dikaru is based on Japanese national standards, and the component including a print textbook and workbook all in one, and the online Dikaru on Fluency Link. As a core textbook, not just a volume of practice tests, Dikaru aims to prepare students to be skillful in communicating in Japanese at a multi-paragraph level. For read, write, comprehend, and speak. It also aims to prepare students to function successfully in daily interactions at the advanced level. Each lesson in Dikaru is devoted to a particular cultural topics that is likely to be on their AP exam. Teachers may present these topics in any sequence. Each lesson begins with a task. This task is students can use as a guide for expectations. Culture gives context for the lessons and is the foundation for the cultural perspective presentation in the AP exam. New vocabulary. There are about 40 new vocabulary in each lesson that give students the ability to communicate at a more advanced level on the topic of studies. Grammar. Grammar structures in Dikaru are provided mostly as a review. Practice examples give context for students to make distinctions among similar forms. Mock exam for AP is a big part of Dikaru. There are activities that build up to the mock test. Mock tests cover all questions typed in AP. There are listening with support in Fluency Link.
Dekiru, an AP Japanese preparation course. Lesson 13, listening, report. Now you will listen to a report once.
And also reading. Materials for text chat. Compare and contrast articles conversation, cultural perspective presentation as well. Dickaroo is available on Fluency Link and is supported by the features of the new digital platform. This course fulfills the learning outcome of revisit the pedagogy of adventures in Japanese, which is presentation, practice, production, evaluation, and extension. It helped to locate the resources for all these 5 instructional stages, as well as making recommendations for different learning styles. I hope you enjoy this course, and it concludes the AIJ overview, and we welcome any questions you may have regarding adventures in Japanese.